were whispers carved in stone and inked in blood, of rites so blasphemous, so powerful, they were buried beneath time itself.
They say the victors write history. But what of the rituals the victors feared? What of the ceremonies banished, the chants outlawed, and the sacrifices too dark to be remembered? In today's sanitized world, we rarely imagine a time when the spiritual and the visceral collided, where belief was measured in bone, fire, and blood. Yet in the shadows of temples, under the stars of lost civilizations, people summoned gods or demons. This is not just history. This is the forbidden soul of it. Today we open the gates to the world of banned rituals of the ancient world, rites that defied kings, threatened empires, and called forth powers no human was meant to touch. Let us begin in a place where myth and memory intertwine, the burning sands of ancient Carthage. To the casual eye, it was a marvel of the Mediterranean, grand harbors, thriving markets, and scholars who mapped the stars before Rome ever rose. But Carthage held secrets behind its walls, secrets that Rome feared so deeply, it burned the city to ash. Among those secrets was a ritual, one that still sparks horror and debate among archaeologists and theologians today. It was called the Tophet ritual, a ceremonial practice conducted in sacred precincts called Tophets, where offerings were made to appease the gods, particularly Baal Hammon, the Carthaginian lord of the heavens and storms, and his consort Tanit, the goddess of fertility and renewal. But what were these offerings? Stone urns, unearthed from the burial layers of Carthage, tell a chilling tale. Inside them lie the charred remains of infants, thousands of them. Rome claimed it was child sacrifice, a barbaric ritual outlawed by even the cruelest empires. Carthaginian records, sparse and shadowed, say otherwise. They speak of dedications, of children returned to the gods in desperate times, plagues, droughts, war. Was it sacrifice? Was it stillbirth ritual? Or something darker? The truth, perhaps, is more terrifying than either, because Carthage was not alone. Across ancient Mesopotamia, in the shadowed ziggurats of Ur and Babylon, priests murmured forgotten syllables to awaken Inanna and Marduk. In parts of the Inca Empire, high in the Andes, the Capacocha ceremonies left children on mountaintops, preserved in ice, sacrificed to gods of rain and volcano. Across continents, across ages, different peoples, same hunger, to touch the divine, to barter with death, to control fate itself. But why? Why would civilizations so advanced, so intelligent, so enduring, engage in rituals modern man calls barbaric? The answer is layered in fear, in power, and in belief. These weren't mindless acts of savagery. These were calculated negotiations with unseen forces, designed with astronomical precision, timed with eclipses and solstices, often overseen by the most educated of their time: priests, astronomers, kings. These rituals were power structures disguised as divine contracts. They kept rulers in power, storms at bay, and enemies trembling at the threshold. The more forbidden, the more sacred. The more brutal, the more binding. And as time passed, empires learned to erase them, to ban, bury, and burn these rites from memory, not just out of morality, but fear. Fear that the rituals worked. But Carthage is just the beginning, because deep in the caves of Anatolia, beneath the ruins of Göbekli Tepe, the world's oldest known temple, archaeologists found something stranger than sacrifice: symbols of celestial beasts, blood grooves, and altars aligned to stars that no longer shine. What was the world before gods had names? Before Egypt? Before Sumer? Before history?
Before the pyramids, before the wheel, there were stones that drank the blood of men.
In the wind-swept plains of southeastern Anatolia, in what is now modern-day Turkey, rests a site that rewrote human history: Göbekli Tepe. Discovered in the 1990s and dated to over 11,000 years ago, this megalithic temple complex predates Stonehenge by 6,000 years. It shattered our understanding of prehistoric man, revealing that complex religion did not emerge after agriculture and cities, but before them. These towering T-shaped pillars, carved with vultures, scorpions, lions, and celestial patterns, weren't the work of nomadic hunters grasping for survival. No, they were the monuments of a people who believed deeply in something higher, something that needed appeasement. But the question echoes through time: what was worshipped here, and what was offered in return? The Neolithic people of Göbekli Tepe lived at the cusp of transformation. They had no written language, no wheel, no domesticated animals, and yet they hauled limestone pillars weighing 10 to 20 tons across miles of barren earth. Why? What force, what belief drove hundreds, perhaps thousands, of people to such coordinated effort? There are no signs of daily living at the site, no hearths, no homes. This was not a city, it was sacred ground, and at the heart of it stood something stranger still: deep circular enclosures with stone basins, grooved channels stained with iron oxide. Evidence of rituals. Archaeologist Klaus Schmidt, who led the excavation, once said,
"This was not a place to live. This was a place to face death."
Some researchers propose that the cult of Göbekli Tepe practiced sacrificial rites, animal, perhaps human, to mark transitions, solstices, hunts, initiations. They weren't just observing the stars, they were communing with them. One theory holds that they worshipped vulture deities, symbols of sky burials. In many ancient cultures, vultures were not signs of death, but of ascension. To have one's flesh stripped and lifted skyward was not desecration, it was salvation. And so the circle forms a sacred death, a divine feast, a soul delivered. But as these rituals grew in power and spectacle, they bred fear and control. The high shamans of the temple became gatekeepers between earth and cosmos. They controlled the harvest, the weather, the favor of the gods, or so the people believed, and belief is the strongest currency of all. Those who disobeyed, outcast. Those who questioned, vanished. This was not just spiritual devotion, this was ritual domination. But something shifted. As Göbekli Tepe reached its peak, the site was buried, intentionally, layer by layer. Why? Was it shame, a cultural revolution, a rising rebellion against blood rituals, or was it fear? Fear of what they'd summoned. Later civilizations, the Hittites, the Hurrians, and the Luwians, inherited Anatolia's spiritual bones, but rebranded its rituals. The blood rites went underground, transformed into myths, rewritten as parables, but the echoes remained. The gods they worshipped, Kumarbi, Tarhunt, the sun goddess of Arena, were not kind deities. They demanded obedience, and at times, sacrifice. But those sacrifices were no longer public affairs. They were now hidden, banned, coded in chants and symbols passed through priesthoods, knowledge reserved for the initiated. The rituals of Göbekli Tepe did not die. They evolved.
I no longer know if we speak to gods or beasts that wear their faces. The stone drank, the stars turned, but the cries, they do not leave me.
And so the blood of the Neolithic flowed into the rivers of civilization. The rituals became more elaborate, more theatrical, until they reached the island of Crete, where the Minoans built labyrinths, danced with bulls, and honored the mysterious mother goddess beneath moonlight and mushrooms. But even paradise has shadows.
The sea glitters like sapphire. The frescoes dance with color. But beneath the palace, something stirs. Something half forgotten.
We sail now to the jewel of the Bronze Age, Crete, the home of the Minoans. A civilization so advanced it stunned archaeologists when it emerged from myth into history. Their palaces had running water, theaters, and vibrant art long before Athens raised its first stone. But the heart of their kingdom, Knossos, pulsed with a mystery so potent it became legend. A labyrinth, a bull-headed god, a forbidden ritual. We were told it was just a myth. But what if it wasn't? The Minoans didn't build walls, they didn't need them. The sea protected them, and so did their gods. Chief among them, a great goddess, associated with snakes, fertility, mountains, and the moon. She held dominion over life and death, over beasts and storms. Beside her stood the bull, not a symbol of brute force, but of cosmic power, virility, and resurrection. The bull was sacred. In frescoes we see young Minoans, both male and female, leaping over bulls in a ritual known as taurokathapsia. Was it a sport, a rite of passage, or a symbolic death and rebirth? We may never know, but beneath Knossos, according to both legend and archaeology, lay a network of winding chambers, a labyrinth. And within that maze, the Greeks whispered a creature was kept, one born of sin, fed with human flesh. The myth, as we know it, is this. King Minos of Crete defied Poseidon by refusing to sacrifice a sacred bull. As punishment, the god cursed his wife, Pasiphae. With unnatural desire, she mated with the bull, and from this blasphemy was born Asterion, the Minotaur, half man, half beast, a living reminder that the gods do not forget. But myths are veiled truths, and this one may cloak a ritual too horrifying to admit. Some scholars suggest the Minotaur was not a creature, but a title given to a priest, king, or sacrificial victim in a bull-headed mask. A boy raised in isolation, revered and reviled, drugged by sacred mushrooms or poppy mixtures. A child transformed into a god beast. Each year, Athens was said to send 7 boys and 7 girls as tribute, to be devoured or perhaps ritually slain. The act was one of atonement and power. Whether myth or memory, the idea was clear: the gods must be fed. Imagine it now, a stone corridor spiraling beneath the palace, torches sputtering in the moist air, the echo of drums, the smell of myrrh, and something metallic. Blood, perhaps. The children wear wreaths. Their hands tremble. A priestess chants in linear A, a language still undeciphered. In the center waits the Minotaur, masked, painted, waiting. This was not chaos. This was ritual theater, passed down through generations, each motion symbolic, each life a key to cosmic balance. And then, silence. A door closes. A mother weeps above. The gods have been satisfied, for now, but the gods are fickle. Sometime around 1450 BCE, Knossos fell, likely due to the eruption of Thera, a volcanic explosion so massive it echoed across the ancient world. The palaces burned, the priesthood scattered. The rituals, once central, were abandoned, demonized, or absorbed by later cultures. The Minoan goddess faded, the bull fell silent, and the labyrinth was lost. But the memory endured, in Athenian myth, in Roman mosaics, in the twisting crypts beneath European cathedrals. Because the labyrinth is not just a place. It is the inner journey, the path to transformation, the darkness we all must face. And at the center, something waiting, watching. As Crete fell into legend, the rituals traveled, whispered by refugees, adopted by conquerors. They surfaced next in Rome, behind the velvet masks of luxury and power, where senators feasted while slaves bled in underground chambers, where emperors drank the blood of bulls and danced under stars to gods long forbidden, and where one cult, the Mithraic Mysteries, hid a ritual so secret it was never written down, a ritual that may have shaped Christianity itself.
The Colosseum is soaked in glory, but beneath it, a silence older than Rome. The gods of blood never truly die. They just change names.
Rome, the eternal city, a civilization of unmatched power, law, and architecture, but beneath its polished marble and disciplined legions lay a network of shadows. The Roman Empire was not just built with stone and steel, it was built on belief. And when the old gods of Greece and Etruria no longer satisfied the hungry hearts of men, a new god emerged from the east. Not Jupiter, not Mars, but Mithras, the bull slayer. A mystery god, a soldier's god, a god of rebirth through blood. Little was written about the Mithraic mysteries, and what was written was not meant for outsiders. Because this cult was secret, its followers met in underground chambers called Mithraea, lit by torches and aligned to the constellations. There, a select brotherhood, mostly Roman soldiers, reenacted a ritual older than the Republic. At its heart, the Tauroctony, the slaying of the bull. In sculpted reliefs found from Britain to Syria, Mithras is always shown killing a sacred bull, knife to its throat, as a dog and serpent lap the flowing blood. A scorpion bites its genitals. From this violent death, life emerges, wheat springs from the blood. But this was no mere symbol. The rite was enacted, and the initiate stood beneath the grating, where the blood of a slaughtered bull, real or symbolic, would pour down upon him, a baptism in blood. He would rise reborn, spiritually purified, cosmically awakened. Imagine the ceremony.
The chamber is cold, the walls painted with stars and planets. 7 steps rise behind the altar, each one guarded by a torchbearer. Each step a test. Raven, bridegroom, soldier, lion, Persian, Heliodromus, and finally, father.
The initiate is blindfolded, stripped, chanted over. A bull stands tethered behind the veil, or perhaps in later symbolic versions, a sacred loaf and chalice. Then comes the strike, a gush, the scent of iron, hot and holy. The initiate gasps, drenched. He is no longer a man. He is reborn into the light of Mithras. Only those who underwent the 7 degrees could hope to climb the cosmic ladder. This was not religion for the masses. It was for the elite, for those willing to bleed and be bled. And it was growing fast. At its height in the 2nd and 3rd centuries AD, Mithraism was a rival to early Christianity. It offered eternal life, moral codes, and communion, but demanded silence and sacrifice. And then, as Christianity rose to power under Constantine, Mithras was declared heretical. The Mithraea were smashed, the altars desecrated, the rituals banned, but they never truly vanished. Christianity absorbed and rebranded what it could. The ritual meal became the Eucharist. The rebirth through blood became baptism and martyrdom. The sun god became the Son of God. Mithras was folded into the shadows, but his rites echo still. in secret orders, in Masonic rituals, in the fascination with blood as a vessel of salvation. The climax of the ancient world's rituals was not destruction, it was transformation. The forbidden rituals, from Göbekli Tepe to Knossos to the catacombs of Rome, didn't end. They mutated, hidden beneath dogma, politics, and symbolism. They passed through the Knights Templar, through alchemy, through whispered orders of the Rosy Cross and esoteric sects. Even today, symbols of Mithras, the dagger, the lion, the torch, appear in the unlikeliest places, on national seals, military emblems, even the US Supreme Court. The rituals were banned, but never forgotten, because humanity has always craved two things, meaning and power. And blood, it seems, grants both. But what does all this say about us? Why do these rites still haunt our stories, our films, our nightmares?
We light candles now instead of torches. We whisper prayers instead of chants. But beneath the surface, we're still dancing in the dark.
From the carved stones of Göbekli Tepe to the echoing corridors of Knossos, from Mithraea buried beneath Roman cities to the modern-day fascination with secret societies and cult thrillers. One thing is clear, the rituals never died. They just went underground, into our myths, into our fears, into our stories. Let's pause and ask, why were these rituals, once sacred, later outlawed, suppressed, or distorted? Was it just political, religious consolidation? Yes, in part. New regimes must erase old gods to establish authority. Rome absorbed and outlawed. Christianity rebranded. Modern science dismissed them as primitive. But something deeper lurks behind the bans. Terror. The terror of the unknown, of sacrifice, of blood, of transformation. These rituals didn't just entertain, they demanded. They tore open the self and rebuilt it. They blurred the line between man and God. And for societies seeking order, that was dangerous. Today, we scoff at the idea of human sacrifice or blood rites. And yet, we flock to movies about cults. We binge documentaries on secret societies. We reenact symbolic rituals and fraternity hazings, religious ceremonies, and military initiations. We're not so different. We crave initiation, a passage from one identity to another. We crave community, purpose, transformation. Modern equivalents? The military's brutal training. Elite societies and their oaths, pledges, and secret brotherhoods. Even pop concerts and political rallies, where symbolism, sacrifice of privacy, identity, and mass devotion echo the ancient energy. And we still have our sacrificial lambs, the whistleblower, the outsider, the scapegoat. The ritual may not be in blood, but it still leaves scars. Look at pop culture. The Hunger Games is a modern tale of ritualized human sacrifice cloaked in dystopia. Midsommar draws directly from pagan rites. Game of Thrones weaves blood magic, ancient gods, and sacrificial transformation into every season. The Da Vinci Code, Eyes Wide Shut, True Detective, all circle the idea of hidden rites that control society from the shadows. These stories resonate because they tap into an ancient memory, a sense that beneath the surface we are still ruled by forces we can't name, still drawn to firelight and ceremony, still trying to find meaning through ritual. What do these rituals reveal about us? They show that power has always been tied to mystery, that fate, no matter the era, is something humans have tried to bargain with, and that transformation, real transformation, demands sacrifice. Whether it's a lamb in ancient Canaan, a bull in Mithraic Rome, or our own comfort and ego today, something must always be given up. The rituals we banned were not destroyed because they were evil. They were feared because they worked on the psyche, the soul, the society. They offered transcendence, but at a price. And we are still, even now, deciding what we're willing to pay for a glimpse beyond the veil.
Somewhere in your DNA is a memory of blood on stone, of chants echoing through caves, of stepping into darkness to find the divine.
We don't need to revive ancient rituals. We need to understand why they were born, because within every story of sacrifice is a mirror. And if we dare to look, we might just see that the most sacred and most terrifying ritual is the one we perform within ourselves. If this story stirred something ancient in you, if you felt the pulse of forgotten gods beneath your skin, subscribe to Curious Chronicles. We dive deep into the myths, rituals, and shadows history tried to bury. There's more to uncover, more truths to unearth, and more darkness to walk through together.